This is the Lockpicker 1969, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to the next episode of Interview with a Lockpicker. Today's guest is Pickin Rick. Say hi, Rick.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
So, where are you from?
I am from England, northern England near Manchester.
Okay. And you've lived there your entire life, or?
In this location, no. I was actually born in the south of England near London.
Okay. So,
and then,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, and then travelled around a little bit and settled where I am now about 20 years ago.
Okay. So, how and when did you get into locksport?
I got into locksport when, at the same point that a lot of people did, when, the first lockdown had come in and everybody was searching for a new hobby to take up.
Yep. Same here.
Yep. And like a lot of people, random video on YouTube one day, watched it, thought, oh, that looks interesting, watched some more, and then purchased a kit from there.
So who would you say was the most influential for you on YouTube when you were getting started?
When I was getting started, the most influential for me was definitely Lockpicking Lawyer, Bosnian Bill,
the usual.
Later on, yeah, standards.
The usual suspects, yeah.
Oh, yeah, everybody knows them, I think, now.
Yeah.
And then discovered Lock Noob a short time after that.
Okay. So you were telling me a story when we did the pre-interview about when your little one was born and how lockpicking helped you. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yes, yeah, definitely. So my little girl, she was born 3 days before England's first lockdown started.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so it was a rush just to get her home before it started. And when it comes to night feeds and stuff like that, I was the person to do it because I was always up until some silly time playing games or whatever. But it got to the point of just sitting and watching YouTube. So I found, the first video came up, watched that, watched a couple of lockpicking lawyers, thought, oh, I'll have a look through his channel. And then the times where it was just me sat on my own, little and asleep or feeding or whatever, just burning through all of his videos on the channel. And then with Bosnian Bill, discovering him from Lockpicking Lawyer, burning through all of his videos on the channel. And then I bought my pick set a few months after I started watching the channel. So then I was picking whilst watching them.
Now,
so it was great to have something to take my mind off of everything.
Now, you'd mentioned something about when you bought your Chinesium set, like a lot of people do when they first get into lockpicking. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. The Chinesium set, that was brilliant because that was like 5 years ago before I even started watching any of the videos. It was just, being on Amazon, having a look through random stuff, seeing them come up and be like, oh, that looks interesting. I'll have a go with that.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a cowboy set or something. You get the pics in the dodgy alleged leather pouch and, a plastic lock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Came through and sat there and fiddled with it for about 5-10 minutes. Like, yeah, I'll come back to that later. Put it in the drawer, shut the drawer, never saw it again.
It collected dust.
I don't think they even collected dust, they just disappeared. It was that drawer.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
So when did you get your first what you would call a real lockpick set?
I got the first proper set. It was around about August 2020. Shopped, shopped on, I think it was UK Lockpickers I ended up looking on. Looked at a few different sets, tried comparing them, but obviously I knew nothing at the time, really.
Yeah.
So I think I ended up looking on the UK Lockpickers forum, which I'm still a member of to this day, and just asked the question on there. And I ended up settling on the Sparrows Whizwazzle kit.
Okay. Are you still using that kit today?
I am still using that kit. I've had to replace 3 hooks, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've expanded on that kit with the handled and unhandled SS devs. And then I've bought the thinner standard hooks. The rakes are gone.
Okay.
I don't use them.
Not many. I don't think a lot of people do. So since you first got into it, what's the most difficult lock you feel you've gotten open?
So far, I would have to say it's the finned DMACC.
Okay.
I put hours and hours into that.
Okay.
I think it spent about a month in progressive pin mode. There was just this one pin where you had to set it and then reset it and then reset it.
Yay.
Yeah, it was like any other pin that you touched, that one would drop. No, nothing else, just that one. And it'd drop a very tiny amount, so you wouldn't notice it.
But you finally got it.
Oh, I finally got it. It was
And nobody understood why you were yelling and screaming, at that moment.
the missus knew why, but the guy that I borrowed it off knew even more, because I was straight on the horn to him going, listen, I've finally done it. After all this complaining I've done.
Okay, so you mentioned something about using the belt rankings to pick locks. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course I can. So I know everybody has different opinions about the belt ranking and its uses and things like that. I don't get into any of that. I personally use the belt ranking system as more like a shopping list.
Yep, me too.
Now, I'm sure you find this yourself. It works out great.
Yeah.
The amount of locks I see on offer from people, and then I go, hang on a minute, look on the belt ranking, and it's like, I don't know, say it's like a green or a blue belt. It's like, it's not really going to help me progress.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Okay.
I don't use it as like some people do. Like, this is all I'm going to do. This is all I'm going to aim for. I
Yeah,
use it. So
yeah. I was just gonna say I've used it for similar purposes, just to get something at a difficulty level higher than where you're at or what you've done, so that you can try to continue to progress.
yeah, exactly. Or if somebody's offering multiple locks to purchase or something, I can look at the ranking and
Yeah,
go, well, these ones are more likely to help me.
exactly. And whether they're worth your time or not.
Yeah, exactly. Because nobody wants their time wasted, whether they're the ones selling them or not.
Okay, so I really wanted to get into this. If you could talk a little bit about your challenge lock making.
Ah, yes. The challenge lock making is a fun little topic. So I made my very first challenge lock for, I think it was about a year and a half ago, maybe a little longer. Basically, just to cover my green rank that they put it at.
Blue belt.
Was it the blue?
Yeah, it's blue.
Yeah, so it was basically just to cover that requirement. It was not something I really had an interest in at first. And then I modified another lock as well, which is a fun little tale for in a bit. And then being rather good friends with Mr. Barry Bradford, I ended up having the opportunity to go to his lock lab, record a video,
Oh, wow.
and we would both sit and make challenge locks. He would divulge in his knowledge to me, and he allowed me to record them, create some content, and try to be able to pass some of this knowledge off to the wider community.
That's awesome.
And just as a little thing for anyone that may not know, my video series on that is 3 parts so far, and it only covers half the lock. We are going to be finishing that series in the coming months.
That's cool. I'll have to check those out and hopefully see the rest of those when you get them out.
Yes, definitely.
So you mentioned something about DMACC.
Yes, DMACC. He's going to love me for telling this. So anybody that's had DMACC challenge locks know that they are a bit of a pain.
Yep.
Just put it politely.
So I've heard.
Oh yes. When you become the person that receives the lock first and you find out that it's got a piece of ball chain in it, that's a great day.
Sounds like something you would do.
The video that I got of it when I finally got it open and I gutted it, you can tell that I'm having to use all of my brain to choose family-friendly words. So anyway,
I'm sure he was laughing his butt off, though.
Oh, every single time, because I'll message him and I will give him so much abuse. Obviously, bantering, as we Brits love to do, but he will get so much flack off of me. And he loves it because he just sits there, chuckles, rubs his hands together, and then carries on making more evil.
Yep, exactly. I've learned a lot watching some of his videos on making pins. So.
Oh yeah, like his rattlesnake pin video.
Yep, I learned how to make those.
Brilliant.
Perfected the soldering and all that stuff. Yeah, I love that now.
He definitely knows way too much.
So you sent him one though too, right?
Oh yes, indeed I did. So not long after, and by not long I mean literally like a day or two after I made my first challenge lock and sent it off into the wild, I got given a pair of the Abus 9050 titaniums, one of which got treated to the gallium effect, which he did not like, which left me with one full one and a spare core. So I decided, because I had all these fresh tools, you know, like tap and die set, and the tap had really nice sharp threads, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to put these tools to use on one of these Abus cores.
Oh boy.
And then for the drivers, I just did a mixture between the Sparrows Christmas pins and the Chess and Checkers pins.
Okay.
You know, wasn't expecting great results from it, you know, just something for a bit of fun. The idea was I would send it round to a few people that I was in contact with who either made challenge locks or, you know, we got on very, very well, you know, talking daily, things like that. And then every time that somebody had received it, they would engrave their name onto the body.
Oh, cool.
And then when it was finished and it was brought back to me, I would, put like black inside all the engravings, spray varnish, and it's a centerpiece for my table.
Very cool.
The first person I sent this to was DMACC. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. I think from what I recall him saying, he put multiple hours into this. Now, bearing in mind, I'd only made one challenge lock and it wasn't exactly fantastic. But I think I just hit the perfect mixture between the pins and what I chose to do to the core. I got abuse from him. He was so annoyed about it.
I bet you felt vindicated, though, didn't you?
I think my response was something along the lines of, now you know how it feels.
He had to have laughed about that, though.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a good laugh between us. But anytime I see him start giving people flack, I will just pop in the comments and just be like, "Hey DMACC, you're on that Abus back." and I get some choice words in return.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously, you have a good, rapport and camaraderie ship with people out in the community. Can you tell me a little bit more about your involvement in the community?
Yeah, of course. So I'm, as I mentioned earlier, still a member of the UK Lockpickers Forum. Member on a couple of lockpicking groups on Facebook. I am an admin of UK Challenge Lockmakers Facebook group with Barry Bradford and Rob Lawn and Nick Barker now, and a couple of Discord groups. I'm also a member of the Tour UK chapter as well.
Okay.
And I try and be as active as I can within the community. Obviously, recently, like a lot of us know, it can be fairly difficult with time.
Yeah.
But always around, always reachable. It may take me a little time, but anybody that needs any, assistance or anything like that, or advice, I try and be there as much as possible to help out. Because we're all in this just to get better, aren't we?
Yeah. Yep, definitely agree with that. So you mentioned something about was it a video story on your picking journey, and I think it was from injury to YouTube. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So being a member of the Tour UK chapter, on the Tour UK site there is a blog post area. Anybody who's a member can write a blog post and have it posted on there. And not long after my little girl was born, I had some medical problems where basically I woke up one morning, I could not get out of bed. Come to find out a few months later that was a form of prolapsed discs in my back.
Oh, wow.
Which obviously made things like sitting up at a table for long hours quite difficult.
Very painful, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. The amount of times where I would finish picking and then it would take me about 10, 15 minutes to get from the table that I was sitting at to wherever else I wanted to be was horrible. So knowing about this blog post area that we had, originally it was just going to be, trying to show people the things I have done and put in place to make life a bit easier for when I'm picking, you know, little changes that I've made here and there to make things a bit more accessible for me. Just like, you know, things that I was using to put a mini table on my lap so that I could have the vice up where I needed it, but it wasn't going to move, and things like that.
Yep.
But then in the process of writing that section, it ended up crossing over into then getting into the video making, because I'd also started up doing the YouTube videos during that process. So it ended up becoming a two-part piece. The first part being about the injury side of things.
Yeah.
And then the second part about what I then did to start getting into the video side of things and making the changes that I needed in the beginning to be able to do that well.
Okay.
You know, and I couldn't tell you how many people have read it or, you know, commented on it or anything, because I don't think the amount of people that have read it is actually logged on the site. But I wrote it to help people who may be in a similar situation to me. If it's helped one person, it's done its job. I'm happy.
Hey, I can fully appreciate that. I mean, that's exactly what my channel is about, is trying to help people solve, you know, overcome, you know, physical problems and so forth, or overcome the kind of problems we all run into on occasion and need some way around. And that's really what my channel is really about as well. So I can definitely relate to that. So,
yeah, for sure.
So I have one more question before we wrap up.
Not a problem.
Can you think of one like aha moment during your journey where it changed how you looked at and how you were, you know, progressing in lockpicking?
One aha moment. Oh, I do like this question. So, a while ago, I'm going to say it's about 18 months ago, something like that, I had the opportunity to purchase a Packlock P90 Pro.
Okay.
90A Pro, sorry.
Yep.
Getting crossed over there with playing Metal Gear Solid there. Yeah, so bought the 90A Pro. And from what I'd heard certain people saying about it, it would, you know, their idea was it was a quote unquote glorified American lock, which appealed to me because I love the American locks. I have many of them.
Yep.
So when I received it and I started picking on it, I treated it like an American lock. And after sitting there for a good 3-4 hours solid, realizing that it is nothing like an American lock.
No.
You know, just the thing that threw me the most with it, more than anything, was the fact that it's almost like a floating core. It's like you start putting more tension on it. Not only are you, you know, tensioning up the pins more, but the core inside moves. It was horrid trying to work it out. So sat there, picking it, getting nowhere. Had a discussion with one person. Funnily enough, the person I bought it off. And he gave me a little piece of advice, and it was all about the tensioning that I was doing.
Yeah.
So listened to what he said, thought about it, changed up the technique, and about 45 minutes later, picking it again, and then I realized that it did something that it hadn't done until then. which was going into a proper full set.
Ah, okay.
And I was putting, yes, finally, I've got it. It's on the ropes.
That's
And
cool.
then it was a couple of minutes later.
That's awesome. So before we sign off, is there anything you want to say to our audience?
I think there's only really one thing that I can say at any time. You know, we're all in this for the same reason. We all want to progress. We all want to get better.
Mm-hmm. So this has been a fun interview. I've really enjoyed getting to know you and getting to talk with you. Thank you.
No, not a problem. It's been a pleasure.
If you are a subscriber, thank you. If you are not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, hit like on the video, turn on notifications and select all so that you can be made aware of content like this, as well as the giveaways and drawings that are done on my channel. And thank you for listening.